Long gone are the days of waiting to be seen in a doctor's office only to have that awkward conversation with your healthcare provider. Wisp gives you access to sexual and reproductive healthcare from the comfort of your home. Get treatment for BV, yeast infections, UTIs, and much more delivered directly to your home or ready for pickup at your local pharmacy in less than 3 hours. The best part? Wisp is discreet, convenient, and you don't need medical insurance to receive care or prescription medication. Visit us today at hellowisp.com.
So a couple of months back, on a random Sunday afternoon, my back started spasming and I had to go to the ER. And so for a whole week, I was on this modified-ish bed rest, trying to be gentle with my back, not to have it go into spasms. And they said that I had some compression on my spine and everything. And the big thing was like, hey, you need to be doing PT to strengthen your back. And that started a conversation that women need to know. So that way, as we get older, we don't have back problems at 45 and like walk around like all the women in our family, guys. After 60, they have a major hunch in their back.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Brie Tucker.
Why, hello, everybody. How are you?
And we have a friend/family member joining us today.
Hello. I am Shanna. I am Brie's sister.
Ooh, we get all the juicy Brie gossip, Shanna.
Yes. You guys get my big sis. I'm the youngest, so I have two big sisses. I have my big sis, Shanna, who is a physical therapist. And then I have my sister, Holly, who she does like communications and a million other things. But my middle sister, she's the short one. So she's my little big sis. That's why you're my big sis. I just wanted to be clear why I call you my big sis.
Well, I appreciate that. And not being my older sis.
Not being my... So big sis is better than the older big sis.
Yes.
Essentially.
Exactly.
Yes. Essentially. Well, we're going in and we're talking about all of the health things that we have to look forward to as we get bigger. Not older.
As we get bigger and get older. The title for this episode, I'm not sure if it's going to stick, but our working title is, Why Do I Feel Like I'm 90 When I'm Only 45?
Yes. Yeah, which I feel like Brie and I are both feeling, and we're looking to Shanna here for a little guidance on what we could expect, because Shanna is also in physical therapy.
Yeah. So as being the big sis, I feel like part of my responsibility is sharing that wisdom with Brie of the things that I've already experienced. So yes, my body does feel older.
Does Brie listen to you as a little sister?
Oh, hell no.
No.
Wait a second. I think I listen to you the most.
Okay, I will give her that. So the most of the 25% that she does listen probably does go to me.
And now you guys understand my baby complex.
Your baby complex.
But being the baby.
We're going to get into all of it. Let's get on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast.
Okay, so Brie, we talk a lot about all the joys that we are experiencing as we grow bigger and get like all of the symptoms. I know like I'm going in for hormone replacement next week to see how that goes. But all of the physical symptoms are just so dumb, I feel. And you've talked a lot too, Brie, about what you're experiencing as well.
Right. Well, I just kind of want to like throw this in. That's kind of where this episode came from. So a couple of months back, on a random Sunday afternoon, my back started spasming and I had to go to the ER. And so for a whole week, I was on this modified-ish bed rest, trying to be gentle with my back, not to have it go into spasms. And they had done a CT and had said that I had some compression on my spine and everything, degenerative. And the big thing was like, hey, you need to be doing PT to strengthen your back. And that started a conversation that I had with my sister because, of course, I called her first. She's a physical therapist and she took care of me. But outside of that, I was like, they're saying I need to do all these things to strengthen my back. And then you mentioned, Shanna, that you wanted to be able to start kind of branching out in your physical therapy and start talking about all the things that women, and I think you said men too, but particularly women, that we need to know. So that way, as we get older, we don't have back problems at 45 and like walk around like all the women in our family, guys. After 60, they have a major hunch in their back. It is not good.
So I have a question for Shanna. Shanna, is that the hunch in backs of women being a physical therapist, is that due to osteoporosis? Because I've heard that as well.
It can be. In our family, it is a combination of osteoporosis and poor posture, which is where
I just put my shoulders back when you said that.
Yep. The part that I was talking to Brie. And I feel like, I don't know how you grew up, but we didn't talk about things in our family. It just happened. And you definitely didn't talk about anything in your body. I mean, we didn't talk about periods. We didn't talk about menopause. We didn't talk. All of that was just, we never discussed anything. Yeah. So I feel like being the big sister, I've had to discover a lot of things on my own. So as I've gotten older, I have found that it is harder to get around and it is harder to do things. And then as a PT, I kind of dove into more of why things were getting harder and what we could do. So it kind of just opened up a different area for me to think about for just day-to-day things. And then Brie entered herself as well. So that kind of jump-started part of this thought process.
Yeah.
So then I forced her to come on the podcast with us.
Yes. I've experienced like a lot of the aches and pains too. And it scared me like 6 months ago. I just noticed activities I did were becoming harder. Bending down and opening up drawers under the kitchen. I was achy and I was grunting and I was doing all of these things, which is why, as I talk about on the podcast now, I've developed a bit of a Pilates obsession where I'm going to Pilates like all the time. And it's helped so much. I was just on the reformer and I was like getting up. I'm like, I don't grunt anymore when I get up.
It is that core strength.
Yes.
And what I have found out, I don't know if you will run into, but as we hit this perimenopause time, you find out so much is related as well to the aging and the decreased estrogen. So anything we can do now, like core strengthening, Pilates, yoga.
Okay, wait, that gives me a question.
Okay.
When do we hit the point of no return? Can your baby sister, who is 45 going on 46, who already has back problems and a bad knee, but the bad knee I'm going to blame on toe pick from ice skating.
Can we blame the ex on that?
Because I would love to blame him on that one. That was 100% me. The worst part was him agreeing with me that I should walk on the broken kneecap, but that's another story.
Okay.
So, but is there a point of no return where if you don't start strengthening your core, you're up a creek, the damage is done, and you can't fix anything?
Yes and no. You start losing muscle mass about around in your mid-30s. As we lose the estrogen, that helps keep our muscle strength. So as we hit this perimenopause without the estrogen, you will start losing muscle mass. That is why doing the core strengthening, the yoga, the Pilates, the taking the stairs instead of the elevator, it will slow down the loss of muscle, which will inevitably happen as we age. Also, your bone density stops even earlier than that. So you're not going to build bone density, but you are going to stop the loss of bone density, and you're going to maintain and or slightly build muscle mass depending upon how far you are pushing yourself. But we are in that window where we are starting to actively lose.
I do see those videos on Instagram of like really old ladies. I'm talking about 90-year-olds who are like so hunched over, and then they start this yoga strengthening program and they're like bending all over the place. And so like
Is
I
that
think
real?
so. Well, I don't know. It's not AI. It was before AI.
It's probably real. I'm just being
Yeah.
a pessimist because I am the youngest. Okay, out of the three of us, I have
But
the most
I'm
pain.
an older sister too, Brie. So like,
You
when you say
are.
in the pain, but like, so you say like you're the youngest. I thought you were going in the baby sister thing, and you're like trying to fight it or anything.
I was for a moment, and then I'm
Yes.
like, no, wait, technically, Joanne's even younger than me, and I'm still the one that, like, I don't know. I'm right smack in the middle of the age group between the three of us, and I'm the one that has the most of these aches and pains, and it's ridiculous. So,
Well, I also think that stress plays a part of it as well. And let's get into that right after this.
okay, guys, the C word, it runs in my family, and a yearly physical just doesn't give me all the things I need to know. And that's why I am so excited about Function Health.
Exactly. We know you've heard us talk about it, but Function Health is truly the all-in-one health platform that helps you take control of your health through data. Instead of guessing what's happening inside your body, Function helps you know, providing access to over 160 tests.
These tests go way beyond most traditional checkup. We're talking about insights to your thyroid, hormones, liver, heart health, autoimmunity, kidney function, and even heavy metal toxicity.
What I love is that your Function membership includes biannual testing. So you establish a baseline and then you can easily spot changes over time. I'm really interested in the tests that help with understanding food and emotions and boosting my energy. So take control of your health outside the doctor's office today and get a $100 credit towards your annual membership at functionhealth.com/no guilt. But act fast. The $100 credit is only for the first 1,000 listeners. Sign up right now at functionhealth.com/no guilt. That's functionhealth.com/no guilt.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
So right before the break, we talked about how, Brie, you were kind of in the middle and you were experiencing more aches and pains than either Shanna or I. And I talked about stress because you have gone through some very stressful events in your life, as a lot of us have.
Yes, I do have a lot of stress, and that does play a factor. Yeah, so tell us more about that. Like, how does stress impact all of this?
So your stress levels also are regulated by the hormones. So as we are aging, you're losing that ability to kind of damper down some of our emotions and stress levels and work through that. Stress also releases cortisol into your body, which
I'm a cortisol queen, man.
Yeah.
raises your anxiety levels, your heart rate, and it does not do good things for your body in terms of making your body function properly. It has been shown high levels of cortisol to further break down muscles, and don't think it's been linked to bone density, but it may be as well. But you see those stress levels affecting things.
Let's just throw it in there. I mean, cortisol sucks for everything.
It will give you that. I fully agree. And I mean, we're already fighting this battle of trying to keep our bodies in the best shape that we can to get older. We don't need anything that is further speeding up the aging process. So.
No, stress is kind of an unavoidable thing, though, because there was just an article released yesterday about mom's mental health after the pandemic. And it said something like, mom's mental health has decreased. Dad's, not so much. So women have this unavoidable stress put on them. And it's not stress of their own choosing or cause. It's more of like the systemic thing that all of these expectations are put on us. And like, how do we even deal with the physical effects of stress when we're in this society? I mean, like just opinion, Shanna, because I know that like this isn't like particularly your field, but as a big sis.
I was going to ask you, Joanne, I feel like when I am concentrating, like if I am going to a yoga class, I feel like that is one time that I can actually feel my stress levels decrease because I'm mindful at that moment of what I am doing.
Mhm.
And I feel like for me, I have to have those set aside opportunities of mindfulness and try to just increase those throughout the day. Otherwise, I am not good at being like, oh, well, I stubbed my toe and I'm late for work and I'm fine. Today moments I'm not the best in.
Okay, I have to laugh about that, guys. I was just in therapy last week and my therapist asked me, so tell me about like when you're able to be mindful during the day. And I'm like, I'm not the best at being in the moment. And she goes like, well, what about when you take a shower? I'm like, I'm not in the moment there. And Joanne, you know what I do when I'm in the shower. I told the therapist, it's like, well, how are you not in the moment? I'm like, I listen to books on audio or I listen to podcasts or like, and she's like, well, isn't that relaxing? I'm like, well, no, I'm listening to the podcast to make sure there's no errors in the sound and that our episode was good, or I'm listening to books for work. And she's like, okay, we're going to stop that.
I just noticed that my stress levels were getting out of control. And I was a person who would put on Audible books when I'm driving in the car. And they weren't fun Audible books, they were business Audible books. And every time I listened to it, it was something else that I wasn't doing or something else that I needed to do or something that I was doing wrong. And it was raising my stress levels. In your point, Shanna, those mindfulness opportunities during the day, I try to do a 10-minute meditation every day. There's something on the Peloton app that they do the daily meditation drop. It's actually a weekly drop. So it's listening to the same meditation 10 minutes each day. And then the next week, they drop a new one. And so you always have this daily meditation. But what I found is that I am so much more clear thinking after I am intentionally mindful about how my body is. You don't notice until you just stay still how tight you are, how much your shoulders are up in your ears, how much your jaw is clenched, all of those things.
The first time I did yoga not too long ago, started doing a class, I noticed the same thing, that even when I thought I was relaxing, I had to be like, oh, let me drop my shoulders and let me do this. And yes. And it was being in that moment of trying to be mindful of my body that I realized just how far I need to still come on all of that. So I think just incorporating those moments, even like you said, if it's a meditation or it's a 10-minute break or whatever, where you try to just focus on that. I'm not saying I'm the best at that, but trying to include that in during your day.
Yeah.
I haven't met anybody that self-proclaims them. Do you think, Joanne, you raised your hand?
No. Well, I think it's called a practice for a reason. It's you're
Yes, that's what I was
constantly
gonna say.
practicing. Yeah. You never achieve it.
Yeah, we're all working on getting to a point where we feel less stress. And I think that as we get older, we tend to pick up more stress. I mean, that's just life, right? Life be lifing, it never stops. So the older you get, the more responsibilities you have, the more that your family transitions, the more things will come up in your career because you're in a different level than you were before. So stress is that never ending thing that keeps coming in. The only thing that we can do is come up with, again, the tools that we need to be more relaxed. And this is coming from a girl that's currently right now at like severe anxiety levels. So I get it. I'm not the best at relaxing. So everybody do not take me as an expert on relaxing.
Well, just like a practical tip for everybody listening, as soon as I mentioned jaw unclenching and shoulders relaxed, I was like, oh, shoot, my jaw is clenched and my shoulders are like just that little mindful moment helped me just relax everything down. And I've been getting headaches for the past 2 days, and it's always starting right at the base of my skull back here. And when I talked about that jaw unclenched, I was able to release the pain in the back of my neck. So a lot of times when we have that aches and pains, we can just take that mindful moment and release it. However, that takes practice to even notice that you need it.
So what Joanne just said, Shanna, does that mean that if I unclench my jaw, my back will get better?
Eventually, it is all connected in the grand scheme of things. But that did also make me think that just like we need to be mindful of where we are and taking that moment for ourselves, you can also be mindful of things that you can do to help keep your body the best shape it can be. It made me think of our mom, who is aging quite rapidly, and I keep trying to remind her to be active. There have been studies that show if you can get down from the floor and get back up, you can use a piece of furniture, but if you can get back up on your own, and if you can get up out of a chair without using the armrest, so just up using your body strength, that you significantly decrease your risk of falls.
Okay.
Done. I am going to start doing chair like ups and downs every hour.
There you go.
There you go.
I even found a study that actually did like how many you need to be able to do this many to see a decrease in your fall risk.
Oh.
And so I have been trying to work with our mother on doing some of these things. I am not sure any of them are being done, but it is kind of adjacent to that mindfulness, that remembering you need to be working on things. So maybe even just getting down on the floor during the day a little bit and then getting back up and practicing, taking the stairs more instead of taking the elevator.
All those little simple things of just being active and moving your body and getting things flowing. Yeah, in Pilates they like to really concentrate on all the joints and everything in the body. And so it's constantly like, okay, rotate your wrists and get that synovial fluid going in your wrists and your ankles and like all of the things and just keeping it going. Well, after this break, I want to get into more about how to even notice if you need to do these things yet. And that'll be right after this.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for this day.
So we've talked a lot about our general aches and pains. I want to get super specific for people because I think when you hear the symptom, you're less likely to write it off as just like, oh, I'm just getting old, but rather like something that you could actually do about it. I mentioned my grunting that I was getting up and down, and that's fixed through Pilates. No more grunting, guys, no more grunting. The back of my neck gets so tight that it causes a headache. All of that tension. And also something that's been associated with perimenopause and loss of estrogen is I have a tight shoulder forming that I constantly try to move around. And Shanna's going, yes, tell me about this.
Well, I was just going to say a very common symptom of perimenopause, and I had this, and one of my coworkers had this, and apparently you, is a frozen shoulder or shoulder pain. Because again, the estrogen is anti-inflammatory and it helps keep us moving and grooving. And as we get older and we get less estrogen, that means your body can get more reactive to the everyday movements. So that is why your shoulder is getting irritated from the movements, because you don't have the hormones there to help keep the inflammation down.
Well, what can we do with that then? Is there any quick fix for that?
I don't think there is a quick fix. The biggest thing that research has shown is doing some type of strengthening activity and going through all of your muscle systems, all your joints. So working on your shoulders. And I try to work upper body, more mindful of upper body one day and lower body the other day. So maybe I'm doing more lifting one day and trying to be more mindful of doing those or working on things to work on strength, how I'm carrying in the groceries that day if I'm working on thinking more of my upper body. And then on lower body days are the days that I am like, okay, I better take the stairs again. Or the other day, I was actually going up and down the stairs extra because I was thinking, I need to work legs today. So normally I sit down on the main level of my house and try not to go upstairs until I have to.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think just the small things of increasing your activity just helps. But you definitely need to do a resistant sort of exercise to counteract that muscle loss and a core strength to make sure that we can still be using our shoulders and our ankles and all of that. Because if you don't have a
Yes.
good core, you can't control the rest.
When we talk about core, what kind of exercises do you recommend? Because when I think core, I'm like planking and the crunches.
I think the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, so if I do 1 plank a day, is that good?
Definitely plank, but not one a day. I think anything where you're actively engaging your abdominals, because that is what is going to be weaker than your back muscles. So anything where you,
Well, wait then, because when I'm thinking of abs, I'm thinking I need to start doing sit-ups, which I thought is not recommended for our age.
a full on setup would not be, but a crunch, or like if you're going back to yoga, the boat pose, or doing something where you're isolating some of those muscles. And there's a lot you can do with just your own body weight of trying to work on strengthening.
Hundreds. Hundreds. Have you guys heard of hundreds?
No, what are, well, she has, but I haven't. What
She
are
said-
hundreds?
They're a Pilates-based exercise where it is like the boat pose, but you have your arms out straight in front of you, and every time you put your arms down, it's a count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 5 you inhale, and on the next 5 you exhale. On the 5 you inhale, and next, so you do that 100 times, and those are called hundreds.
Well, here's a secret for you guys. As a pediatric physical therapist, I actually get to incorporate this. So I tell the kids we're doing mermaid tails, where we sit in boat pose and we lift our legs up and down like Ariel did on the rock. And I get the kids to work on core, but I get to sneak it in. So even activities with something like that works.
I love that. That's the best trick.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Brie's gonna be a mermaid. I could swim in your living room, Brie, and you could do the mermaid.
I do have to tell you, though, I call them the mermaid tails, and one of the little girls last week actually had a mermaid tail that was made out of spandex, and she went and got it.
Oh, that's
I was like,
sweet.
I think I need one of those for myself.
Kids have like such fun. They have such fun with these things. And like when we get to be adults, like exercise just becomes like one other thing on our to-do list. We need to make it more fun.
Okay, I have to throw this in about the whole mermaid thing. All right. Both of you know, because like we're here in the East Valley of the Phoenix area, that there is actually a mermaid workout class that they offer in the East Valley.
Oh, I didn't know the workout class. I know you could swim like a mermaid at one of the resorts, but
Yes. So there is a mermaid workout class that you can join in the public pools. They do it in Mesa. It is like so cool. Seriously. So I had to throw that in there.
Have you done it, Brie?
I have not yet, but it's done by the same woman who does the yoga paddleboard class that I like.
Yeah.
I love the yoga paddleboard during the summer. I just wish it wasn't so full on in the sunlight because I burn like nobody's business. So that's so funny. Of course, someone who's doing a class professionally would actually know that that helps your core. But Brie's like, light bulb.
Light bulb mermaid. Yeah. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it's a lot of little things to do for that. And the more you do it, I feel like the more it just kind of becomes more natural of trying to increase your activity.
Yeah.
That was the other point I wanted to make. With all of these aches and pains that we do have, it decreases, your even desire to be active with things.
Yes, it does.
It hurts because it hurts at first.
One of my absolute favorite things to do are to go to music festivals. And I am too damn tired to even stand up for a concert, let alone going to an all-day festival. And I'm really pissed that I can't do the activity that I love anymore because I've kind of let myself get into this stage where I have a weak core. And it's making me depressed and it's making me like feel like I'm too old. There's nothing I can do about it. And I know that that's not true. So help me.
There are like 80-year-old women in my Pilates class. There are 80-year-old women who are totally rocking the plank. And like,
Now I feel like a total like lazy person.
you're not. It's just to show you there's hope. It doesn't have to be this way. There's hope.
Now I want to go to your Pilates class.
Oh my gosh, come. Everyone come to Pilates. I love it.
Joanne has tried to get me to go a couple times. I haven't done it yet.
I love it.
So
I love it.
But I was going to say there's a lot of fun things. I was drugged to an aerial class, and
I
that
wanna
works
do
your core
aerial.
out a heck of a lot. And that was fun. I mean, so sometimes, maybe what we should do as sisters is do an activity and just say, I want to try this. Let's all go and try it. And just get some more exercise and daily activity.
Yeah. My sister, she is a long distance runner, and I feel like I inspired her on that one, although I think she took it farther than I ever wanted to try because she does like 100-mile runs. Yeah. No,
God.
she's amazing. Jamie, you're amazing. We are always trying to find like active things for us to do. And we're always thinking about our parents too. Like she more so than me. And she's like, Mom and Dad, you have to go try Tai Chi. Go do Tai Chi. Go get moving. Go do something. Because we're kind of getting into the sandwich generation now where we're thinking about our parents' health as well as thinking about our own health and about our kids. And it's just another stressor. And who's always going to come last? We are. Always.
I fully agree. And I'm really shaking my head with the parent statement because I do feel like I have officially reached that age that I'm helping parent my parent. But everyone is. I got a text from my college roommates the other day, and another one parent was having medical issues, and Logan, my son, his girlfriend's dad is having surgery, and I just feel like we're in that generation where we're all starting to parent our parents. And you're right, it puts us last.
And it freaks us out. It freaks us out when we see them struggling.
It freaks us out.
Again, I love you, Mommy. I don't want to have your aches and pains. I don't want to be bent over. I don't want to lose my inches of height because I'm like walking hunched over. I don't want to get to the point where I can't take a walk or go to my music festivals or go paddle boarding. So with all of that being said, someone who's listening to this episode that's going, yeah, I'm starting to notice this, or I'm up a creek as far as Brie at this point. What's one thing that you could suggest to somebody that's starting to notice this? What's a practice that they could start doing that could make a little change? Or not a little change, a big change.
I would say if I was going to pick one thing, I really would work on, as dumb as it sounds, that squat, that being able to squat and get back up to a stand, because I think that is important. That is important now to have that strength. It is important as we get older. If you fall, if your dogs trip you while you're on a walk,
That's happened to our mom and to her.
Had that happen. Yes.
So you can start with some squats. You can pull out your kitchen chair and try to just do 10 and move on. And then later on today, do another 10 and move on. And when you can do 10 without feeling like your legs are going to fall off, then you do 12. And you just keep that strength that you have there because it's easier to keep something than it is to get it back once it's gone.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like if your knees are bad and you can't do squats, find something that you can do. You can work on a plank challenge and increase time on that, or you can work on whatever. Pick one thing that is difficult for you and try to work on that.
I think that's really good advice to try to keep the strength that you have because that's true. It is easier to keep it, but you just don't think about it from day to day. And Shanna, thank you so much for coming on and just chatting with us about this. It's really motivated me to keep on with my workout routine because there are some days like I'm like, oh, I have way too much to do. I'm just going to cancel it today and get like whatever I need to get done. But it really is a priority, especially if I don't want my kids to have to worry about me the way I'm worrying about my parents.
And I think that is key because I do feel like it's one thing when you can notice that things are getting more difficult for you, but then when you notice that your parents can no longer do the stairs to your second story of your house anymore, that's a little bit bigger of a thing. And we have the ability to stop that now or to postpone it by keeping what we have.
Yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
I'm feeling optimistic that I've got a shot at not feeling like I'm 90 years old for the rest of my life. So thank you. And it's so good I got to share my sister with everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk with you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.